Enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good.
In 110 yards, you will reach your destination.
Historic maritime village.
Didn't realise all this was here.
No, no.
You just said on my little thing, it's like stepping back in time. I just thought it was just a
Well, with a modern car park.
go here,
What? Here?
go here.
Okay. The Historic Maritime Museum. Tea room. 30-minute cruise on the Beaulieu River. Or simply sit, relax and enjoy the view. Okay. Go on then, pups. Or enjoy the sniffs.
Just something at the captain's cabin to begin with then.
Yeah, if you want. Right. Apple orchard. Lived in cottages with long back gardens so they'd grow vegetables, keep chickens and rear a pig. And some would have some apple trees to pick
Come on,
fresh fruit from.
come on. That's the museum then. You're going to go in there?
Well, yeah, I can do. You can go in if you want.
No, it's all right. You go in. Then I can sit
Yeah,
outside.
so we can't take Poppy in.
No,
I'll have a look.
I think it's a huge museum.
You've got a voucher.
What about you?
Gosh.
We'll go and grab a seat while we can.
Yeah.
Beaulieu Estate, like much of the surrounding coastal land, was a restricted area. Even the young Lord Montague, seen here with his mother, sisters and younger half-brother during the war, required a security pass to enable him to travel home from school. From the beginning of 1941 onward, 11 large houses on the Beaulieu Estate were requisitioned by the military to serve as training centres for the Special Operations Executive. The vineyards provided training in elementary wireless and telegraphy, and the majority of the agents stationed there were French. Warren, now Blackwater House, taught microphotography and also served as a general finishing school, while Bournemouth's was used as a finishing school for women agents. The house on the shore gave training in small arms and explosives, and the keyboard still shows a space for the explosive store. Buckler's Hard Village was requisitioned for the use of workers who were constructing sections of the Mulberry Harbour at Pub Copse on the Beaulieu River. Among the many items built here were large concrete barges and caissons which were to serve as floats for the roadways of the Mulberry. In the period leading up to D-Day, Neville Shute, the author, could be found at the mouth of the river experimenting with the Swallow, a rocket-powered, radio-controlled, pilotless aircraft, and also with the development of rocket landing craft designed to bombard the beaches before the D-Day invasion. As D-Day and the start of Operation Overlord approached, the Beaulieu River filled up with landing craft of all kinds. These included gun landing craft, flak ships, rocket landing craft capable of firing over 1,000 rockets in a single salvo, tank and infantry landing craft, while LCMs, mechanised landing craft, and VLBs, vehicle landing barges, maintained and resupplied the larger vessels.
Yeah, that museum is really interesting, but there's obviously a lot to read there. I wasn't going to sit down, go through everything there and read it out, but it's well worth a little visit there. And there's a lot about the shipbuilding went on here, obviously. There's obviously the association with Lord Nelson, and here's the harbour. That's quite beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even on a bit of an overcast day, so here are all the cottages. And what I didn't realise was the association with World War II and the Mulberry Harbours
Alright.
here. Obviously they thought here at the beginning of the war was a prime target for invasion,
Yeah.
so a lot of preparations against invasion, but obviously there was not the big caissons, but they built concrete barges that they used for the bridges going over from, into Arromanches
Alright.
and all there. So it's well worth a visit, that museum.
So why is the village sort of deserted then, or not lived
Well,
in?
it's
Or is it still lived in?
I don't know. Honestly, don't know. It looks pretty deserted, doesn't it? It looks like you can go in some of them. Look, there's some cottages there, so I might do that. You see?
Yeah, one of my ancestors was a shipwright in Plymouth.
Okay.
It's on my dad's side, his mother,
Yeah.
and they lived in Plymouth for a
Okay.
couple of centuries, and he was actually a shipwright. Is that a pub or something, or that's a hotel, isn't it?
I assume so. People queuing up to get in. That's the Master Builders Hotel and Riverview Restaurant.
Right.
Let's go down to the riverside. You can go on the boat. Yes, we're going to treat ourselves to a river cruise. We go in here. Yeah. And dogs are on there, Poppy.
Yeah.
Don't look down, Pops. What's £11 for seniors, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Go on then. It's supposed to be a 30-minute cruise. Poppy, stop looking down.
River. As we get underway, we just ask you to listen to these short safety announcements. In the unlikely event of an emergency, we ask you to remain calm, remain seated and await instructions from a member of the boat's crew. This vessel is well equipped with life jackets stored underneath the seats in the forward cabin, as well as in the white box in the back deck. In the unlikely event of an emergency, these will be launched by a member of the boat's crew and boarded from one of our 2 side exits.
You're all right, Poppy. It's okay. It's just a boat.
So today, ladies and gentlemen, the Oliver B is running as far to Swiftsure River Cruises. She gives this name for a much earlier Swiftsure, a 74-gun third-rate man of war built here at Buckley's Hard and launched in 1804. A year later, she is the largest of 3 Buckley's Hard-built warships to take part in the Battle of Trafalgar. Many naval warships are built here at Buckley's Hard, and the 5 launchways on our right-hand side, with the 74-gun ships like the Swiftsure being the largest ever constructed in the river. Once built and launched here at Buckley's Hard, the naval warships then had to be towed over 25 miles to the port of Portsmouth by rowing boat. A journey is some 2 to 5 days, depending on tides and weather. Once there, they are fitted out with their masts, sails, rigging and guns, and all the stores and equipment necessary for the warships of their day. 2 other Trafalgar warships built here at Buckley's Hard were the Euryalus and Agamemnon. The Agamemnon was said to be Nelson's favourite ship, despite the fact that as on this vessel he was serving as captain when he lost the use of his right eye during the siege of Calvi in Corsica in 1794. His fondness for this ship is thought to derive from the fact that, as her captain, he sailed into Naples Harbour and met Lady Hamilton for the very first time. 200 years ago, a small rowing boat between Gilbury and Buckley's Hard linked the banks of the Beaulieu River. These carried workers across from the estates of Exbury to work at the shipyards. Today, Exbury is famous for its gardens, especially its many rare species of rhododendrons and azaleas, as well as magnolias and camellias. Unfortunately, the only part of the gardens visible from the river are the daffodil meadows on our left-hand side. Unusually, the bed of the Beaulieu River forms part of the manor of Beaulieu, as far as the high tidal tree line on both banks. This is because King John granted rights over these tidal lands to the Cistercian monks of Beaulieu Abbey in the 13th century. These rights later fell to Lord Montagu's ancestors and were confirmed by a Board of Trade inquiry in 1928. Hence, the Beaulieu River is one of the very few privately owned tidal estuaries in the UK.
Oh, didn't know that. That's something. Very nice.
The large inlet on our right-hand side was originally constructed as oyster beds for Lord Montagu's great-grandfather. The oysters were considered a delicacy by the 1880s, but unfortunately the cost of producing them turned out to far outweigh the price they could fetch, and the business closed. During the Second World War, an experimental floating dry dock was built in these old oyster beds, along with components of the Mulberry harbours used during the D-Day landings. Today, almost the entire Beaulieu River estuary forms part of the North Solitary Nature Reserve. This was established in 1979 to help protect the area's animal and plant life. Needle Point at the heart of this reserve and the mouth of the river is an important nesting site for black-headed gulls and several species of terns. In 1986, a special act of Parliament was passed closing one of the navigable entrances of the Beaulieu River to help prevent erosion of this important site.
Huge number of boats here. Oh no.
Their ships. These are used for fishing and trade. Wool from their farms and granges was taken around Southampton before being exported to what is now Holland and Belgium. Today at Gin's we're the clubhouse of the Royal Southampton Yacht Club. Between Gin's Farm and Needle Point to the mouth of the river there are a series of embankments that act as sea defences. Hundreds of years ago all the intervening land was underwater, and in the 18th century much of it was reclaimed for use as salt earners. The salt was a highly prized commodity and very heavily taxed. In fact, salt officers were actually faced the butlers hard to check that the amount of salt produced and the amount of tax paid tallied. Now that we have completed our turn at the bottom end of our cruise today, looking down the river behind us, all the hills in the distance form the Isle of Wight. The Isle of Wight is separated from the mainland by the Solent, an area of water that has seen many historic events. Once the great passenger liners, including the Queen's and the Mauritania, steamed down Southampton Water and into the Solent, carrying their passengers to all corners of the world. Today, only Cunard continues to operate these transatlantic liners, joined by increasing numbers of cruise ships, oil tankers heading in daily to the refineries at Fawley, and cargo ships heading into the docks at Southampton. In August, the Solent is full of boats taking part in and watching the annual Cowsweek Sailing Regatta. Many of today's Olympic yachtsmen and women and intrepid round-the-world sailors have honed their skills in this stretch of water and taken part in this regatta. In the late 1920s and the early 1930s, the international Schneider Trophy races took place over the Solent. These were trials for seaplanes, and British entries proved to be the forerunners of the Supermarine Spitfire. Beaulieu Estate was a prohibited area due to the intensity of military activities. On our right, hidden in the trees, we pass Exbury House. These form the heart of a series of large buildings known collectively as HMS Mastodon, the command centre for combined naval operations in the area. On the left bank, many of the large houses are requisitioned by the Special Operations Executive, who trained agents and spies to operate in mainland Europe. The river itself was alive with naval craft of all types. Most torpedo boats left the repair base at Buckler's Heart to patrol the English Channel as part of our defensive screen against the fast German E-boats and submarines. As D-Day approached, the river filled with landing craft of all types, including rocket and gun landing craft that took part in the first bombardment of the beaches. There was also flight landing craft for air protection and a variety of landing craft for tanks, troops and personnel. The author, Neville Shute's famous novel Requiem for a Rev is actually based on a true story of a mysterious crash of a German bomber at Exbury. First and foremost, he was actually a rocket scientist and he used the Beaulieu River to experiment with the Swallow. This was a rocket-propelled pilotless aircraft. D-Day came too soon for it to play a part in the landings, with the technology later used in the development of guided weapons like the cruise missile. Branches of willow are called withies. Traditionally used to mark the safe channel here at Beaulieu, the willow is used because it does not rot in salt water nor breaks once fixed in a riverbed. These branches get replaced every 2 to 3 years. Fish in the river are mainly bass, grey mullet, dabs and eels, the occasional sea trout. Therefore, upstream in Beaulieu village, the river is traditionally fished with seine nets every summer. The strong grass that covers the mudflats and either banks called Townsend cordgrass. This is a hybrid plant with British and American parents. Found growing in Southampton Water in the 19th century, it was planted here on the Beaulieu River in the 1870s to help stabilise these mudflats. It looks very different to its appearance in the 18th century, when the whole riverside would have been alive with shipbuilding activities. Or in the run-up to D-Day, when the river was filled with landing craft and troops, awaiting the signal that would see them begin their journey across the channel. Although it has existed through some turbulent times in the past, today the Beaulieu River is a beautiful and tranquil spot, much loved by yachtsmen and naturalists alike. More information on the topics we have covered today can be found once you have landed at the top of the village street in the Maritime Museum. We hope you've enjoyed your cruise with us today on the river and you enjoy the rest of your stay here at Bucklers Hard. On behalf of myself and Blue Funnel, I'd like to say thank you for coming with us today, and we do hope to see you all again in the future.
Oh, the boat shed.
There's a plaque over here, or a board over here.
Yeah. Come on then. Do you enjoy your little boat trip, Pops?
Glad to be off, she says.
It's a Shipwright School workshop.
Wow.
Replica 18th century timber frame building handcrafted out of Beaulieu Estate oak and Douglas fir, used to teach traditional boat building and rural building crafts. Building frame was hand converted from the log with hewing, axing and sawing using 18th century methods. Roof tiles and bricks were reclaimed from old buildings, and a local blacksmith made the ironwork elements. Hoped in time we will see small wooden boats built again at Bucklers Hard and teach a new generation of students to learn the long lost skills. Yeah. You see all the wooden materials over here, Pops. Come on.
So that's the sort of thing my ancestor would have done, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Yep. That was hundreds of years ago. Yeah, there's a riverside walk here. Marine and Boatyard is probably what we'll do, 3 minutes. Beaulieu Village, 40 minutes. And National Motor Museum, 50 minutes.
Yeah. Come on.
Right. This is typical, really, of the mudflats, isn't it, really, here? Looks like the Duke's bathhouse here. Huh. Look at that. Huh. So George, Duke of Montague, owner of the Beaulieu Estate, built the bathhouse for his son John, Marquis of Monthermer, I can't say that, Monthermer, in 1760. Marquis suffered from arthritis, and then, as now, salt water was considered to be beneficial treatment. People could bathe in a tidal pool in the garden, which was filled with water from the Beaulieu River. And it became the property of the housing stock of the estate. Oh.
They can book it as a cottage then.
Looks like it, yeah. Details at holidaycottages.co.uk. If you don't mind people sticking cameras in your window. That's quite something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Go on, I'll go up here. See the boatyard. You got your hook up here? Oh, that hookup cable's seen better days.
Yeah. It doesn't it? Well, these boats will get us in the mood for our next tour, won't they?
What's that?
Norfolk Broads.
Norfolk Broads, of course, yeah. Yeah, so that's the footpath to Beaulieu. What did it say, 40 minutes?
40 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We did stop at Beaulieu, didn't we, on
Yeah.
when we were here for Herman Fest, so I might dig out a link to that.
Yeah, I think that's it for this little video at Bucklers Hard. We didn't intend to come here.
No, it's just it's on this scenic route.
Yeah.
Which I've only done about a few places on.
Yeah.
So I found this.
Yeah. Sort of stopped us in our tracks, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
I've never been here before.
No.
But no, it's good. Yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up, remember to subscribe and hit that notifications icon, and we'll bring you some more videos, hopefully.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good.